Hey, this is Bill with Lead Capture Page Boss, and today I had a number of tickets come in that had to do with the form. And so what I wanted to do was go over the code behind the form because people want to add, address, city, state, zip code, ask questions like how much time can you put into your business or how much can you spend to get started? How much do you want to make? Lots of good and relevant questions to add to a form. There's lots of different ways of marketing. And so what I want to do is I want to break down a form here as far as the code so that you can get into it. Now I would say this is certainly more advanced and a little more technical, but I hope that even after watching this, you would actually be able to make some sense of it if you were just getting started. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this code, and where would we actually find this code? So as an example, I'm going to go ahead and use capture page 0017 to look at this type of code. We see this right here, these three fields, and then a button. Enter your name, enter your email, enter your phone. So now let's come back to our code. So the first thing that we have here is the ID. This has to stay, and you don't change that, okay? Now actually you don't change this either, the input. This is what actually creates the field that people put they input their information into. ID has to be fname. The style, now you could delete all of this style, okay? It's not necessary. However, it really gives you the ability to make a pretty cool form. So for example here, the border that goes around the fields, this black border here, let's go ahead and also open this up on a web page. Well, you can't see it because this is black behind it, but there's a black border there. And that's what you're editing, or the thickness of that border is what you're editing with this 1 pixel. Okay, so you could make that 10, you could make it 20, and you'd end up changing the width of that border around the field. Now, this here, solid, that gives you a solid line around. There are other things that you can use here, such as dash, dotted, but unless you know the code for that, let's leave that alone, because I don't think a lot of people are going to use a dotted line around it. But you can always go to, if you're interested, what I would suggest, there's a website that's really good. It's called W3 Schools, and this would be a great place to go to learn some of these styles. So for example, here I would type in style for borders. And here you're going to see border style solid. Now it's also going to give you the other options that you have. Dotted, dashed, solid, double, grooved, ridge. Okay, so there's lots of different things you can put there. But again, that's even beyond the scope. I really do want to keep this pretty simple. So what we have here is solid. Now this is the color of the line that goes around your form. Then we have the background color, and what this is actually the box, the color inside the field there. You know what, let's go ahead and, well, I'm going to leave that, sorry. So that's going to change that from white to black, where then you could actually have the font white inside a black box. But I always use a simple white background, high contrast, easy to read, very important to me. Now, your font family, this is the font that is inside the box when they fill it out. I use Verdana. You could use Arial, Times. You fill that in. If you wanted to make the font size larger within that box that's being filled out, you would increase this or decrease it. Then we have an outline, and we keep that at none. Then we have padding, and what this does is it actually creates space between the letters that they're filling in and the edge of the field. So if you wanted to increase that to 10, it would give a lot of white space between the text and the edge or the border. It's not really necessary to do that unless you have some special design, but normally you keep that at 2, maybe up to 4. Then we have text align, and this is going to make your text either go to the left, center, or the right. If you're going to use a value like enter your name that already exists before they go to the field, then I like to have something like that justified to the left. Probably in particular because I'm using these dots. But if you were just going to say name, then you could put it in the center. I don't think I've ever seen it justified to the right. Then we have this, which is just an alignment of where it goes inside the box. I would not adjust that. Then you have the width of your fields. So if for some reason you have a page and you want to make that field wider, then you would increase this or decrease this. Then we also have the height of the field. So if you wanted to, again, make this taller or shorter, you would increase or decrease this. Now this is a special little bit of code right here, the on focus and on blur. What this does, allows you to have a value already in the field pre-populated, and when you click on it, it disappears. You'll see forms out there where you click on it and the text stays in it, and then you have to delete it out. Unprofessional, as far as I'm concerned. So when you click on it, when your tour taker clicks on it, you want that to disappear so they start at 0, but they also know what they're supposed to put in that field. Now, a lot of people, you'll see that the first name is over here, email. Why not save space and put it in here? Because always you're struggling to have room and space on a page, and then having lots of white space keeps it clean so that you can keep people focused on your call to action. Okay, so this is just great because this is what causes the text to disappear and come back. Then we have the type, and we are obviously using text in this box. The name is something that you have to keep. This is mandatory. This has to do with our system, so we recognize what value is being entered into that field. And then you have enter your name. And this is the value of the text within the field, okay? So we have enter your name. So what we do is we keep the same style on each field. Here we have form email, don't change it. But again, here's a value, and you can change that, enter your email. If you're considering changing the value here, something good could be email for download, okay, or email to receive offer, or email to receive whatever. That way they know that in order to receive the book or whatever it is that you're looking to send to them, they need to put in their best email address, which of course is super important for marketing online. Okay, again, here's the same thing, but this is a phone field. And then we get into the area where people want to add additional fields. Now, let me bring this up, because what some people have done, and it's rather insightful, but it's not going to work, they go to the HTML form code. Okay, However, this code is not to be used within the system. This code is actually to be used on an external site from our system. This code is designed to send the data from the form to your database within Lead Capture Page BOSS. And so that's why we have these values here. This would actually show your ID number so we know where to put it. It'll also show the lead group that you want them put into. And so this cannot be used within our system. This you would use on a blog, another website. Let's go back to our code and what we have here now. So when somebody wants to add state, city, what do you do? And this is what you do. Your ID is now going to start changing to var1, var2, and you can keep adding these var3, var4, var5, etc. That's one thing that's important to have within the additional fields. Now the style is the same, as well as this value here, and the type is still text. Now the next place to change is the name, and the name needs to equal the ID. So when you start with var1 or variable 1, now that's also going to be var1 here in the name. And what we're going to do here is we're going to make it city as the value that populates the fields. Okay, so now when it comes to the email that you receive, you'll just have to know var1 is a city. And when you get it in an email, it's pretty obvious because it lines up just like any kind of a form would. So here's the same scenario where we're using var2. And then of course we put name var2 here. And you can keep going down as many as you want. Okay. The last part to a form in our situation is the input. And what it is to send the form or submit the form. Now I see when you use the HTML code from the HTML creator, it gives you a simple submit button. Well, what we've done is we want you to be able to use more decorative buttons. You could even put in here, well, let's go over the code. So first we have the class as a button. Then what happens when the mouse is clicked, it sends the form. Okay. The type up here where we had type was text, here we have type, it's an image. Now you could turn this into text and then put in your value for your link, but a button is by far more attractive. So what I have here then is our source for the button. And this is a website where I'm hosting the images for all the buttons. And when you see a variable like this, you can go ahead and delete it. But what do you put in its place? Now to delete that, you would delete, those are called tildes, and you would delete to the next tilde and leave the dash. Okay. Now what do we put in that space in its place? Let's go back to the boss. And we're going to go to resources. And on the resources page, we're going to scroll down until we see page design. And we're going to go to the buttons. Okay, so we see the buttons, and what we're going to do is we're going to look for a button that we want to use. So say, for example, we are offering people a video that is very valuable, perhaps how to rank on YouTube or how to get more out of Pinterest or Instagram or Facebook. And so what we want to say is, take me to the video, okay? Or actually there's a number of them here. Show me the video, 100% free video. Take me to the video, send me the video, watch the video, okay? So you choose the one that you want. I'm going to choose take me to the video. And you see the number 10844. So what you'll do is you'll copy that code 10844. We're going to go back to our code here. I'm going to put it right in here, 10844. Okay? And now we have completed our form. And that button is going to show up at the bottom of the form. Now, if you have some issues with spacing the fields apart, there's numerous ways that you can do that. You could simply put this in between them, or even a couple of them. This is a hard break, and that's actually going to create space in between your fields. Something that's going to give you a little more control is if you do this. Again, technical, but valuable. Especially, I see a lot of people doing their own forms. So we're going to use what's called a div, and we're going to use style equals padding top. And this is exact. Coding is like accounting. So top, and we'll do something like 5 pixels. And we'll, now it's a semicolon. So you're using both the semicolon and the colon. And then we're going to go ahead and finish that with another quote and end the div. Okay. Now what we also have to do is we have to end the div here. Okay, so essentially what this has done is it has created what's going to be a 5 pixel space above the field. So what you would then do is take that and you would apply it to each of your fields, right? And then you would also make sure you close those divs. So now we've put each field within a div, and we've created a padding. It's like a margin on the top. And that will give you space in between them so that if you do something and if they're touching one another, that will correct that issue and you'll be able to space them apart. I'm going to wrap it up with that. So this is how you would expand a form beyond the name, email, and phone. It's how you can put your own button on there by editing the code. And then also you showed you how to edit this, adding an address, city, state, or whatever information you're looking to gather from your prospects. Again, I can't emphasize this is technical. It is not for everyone. You don't have to know this to use the system, but I want to be able to support those of you who are venturing into that area, and I hope that this will guide you and help you put it together in a way that makes sense, and you'll be able to empower yourself and produce better pages for yourself with better results.